الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي ولا رسول بعده سيدنا وحبيبنا وحبيب الله محمد ابن عبد الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. My respected brothers and sisters, may Allah's peace, His guidance, His mercy, His protection and His forgiveness be with you in this life and the day when we step into the next chapter of our life, next stage of our life, the stage of grave, the stage of qabr, and the day when we will be taken out and brought in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ameen, thumma ameen, ya Rabbal Alameen. Today, inshallah, we will start the Tafsir. Last week, my respected brothers and sisters, we jointly studied the virtues of the greatest ayah of Quran, and today we will do the exegesis, the interpretation, or the Tafsir as it is called in Arabic, and same thing in Turkish, Tafsir. In Tafsir we can also call it in Turkish açıklama, that to interpretation or opening or describing, going into detail of something. So in this case it is açıklama of ayah number 255, which is the greatest ayah of Quran, Ayat Al-Kursi. Before we come to that ayah, I present an ayah number 155 from the sixth chapter of Quran. Chapter is called Al-An'am, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, Ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, wa hadha kitabun anzalnahu mubarakan fattabi'uhu wattaqu la'allakum turhamun. Sadaqallahu al-azim. The meaning closer to the closer meaning to the in English language to the ayah is, and this is a blessed book, this Quran, which we have sent down to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and through him to all his followers. So follow it and refrain from deliberate disobedience of Almighty Allah, that you may receive mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means that you may be saved, protected, forgiven, and blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for doing those two things. My respected brothers and sisters, the question, when Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said fattabi'uhu means that read, understand, follow and implement its legislation on yourself, in your deed and your act, and in your personal deed and personal actions, and people, those who are around you, the people of your household. This is an individual and a collective responsibility. Fattabi'uhu. Then the second thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about is wattaqu. Wattaqu means that you must refrain from deliberate disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My respected brothers and sisters, if I only read Quran, recite it, memorize it, and I do not understand it or follow it, or I do not implement its legislation on myself and my family members, the question arises, and I will be asked about it, that have you benefited from this book of Allah, or did you give its rights? The rights, everything has a right upon it. Us. We talk about our rights, but we forget about our duties. So this will be the case, illa man rahimullah, this will be the case on Day of Judgment, and before that in qabr with each and every one of us, that I sent you this book, I sent you so many messengers and so many books before Quran and Quran. Have you read it, recited it, understood it, you followed it, and you implemented its legislations, prohibitions and allowances on yourself or not? That will be the first question we will be asked about it after that, who was your Lord. La'allakum turhamun, my respected brothers and sisters, in this ayah, before we get to the tafsir of Ayat Al-Kursi, means that if you do these two things, وَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَاتَّقُوا. If you do these two things, then you will be mercied upon by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And receiving mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my respected brothers and sisters, you know better than I do that receiving mercy and forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate purpose of this temporary life on earth. And if we will, and that you can only achieve this, that if I read it, I recite it, I understand it, and I follow it, and I implement it on my life, my personal life, on my actions, and on my deeds. When we stop reading, my respected brothers and sisters, and some of us stop at reading. Some of us go to the next step and start memorizing it. But we put on a certain attire and believe that we are on our way to Jannah. That is equal to, my respected brothers and sisters, that is equal to living in fool's paradise. That I would just read and I will memorize and I'll recite. Yes, those are good deeds, but they're not gonna save us from the questioning in qabr or questioning of Day of Judgment if we don't understand Quran, and if we don't follow it, and if we don't apply it on our actions and our deeds. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Today's ayah, inshallah, is ayah number 255. This is the second lecture today. Inshallah, we study together. Nobody is a teacher here. We are all students. And that is about the greatest ayah of Quran, which we taught the virtues of last week. So first we will do the recitation, then translation, and then inshallah we will come to the tafsir of this ayah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. صدق الله العظيم. My respected brothers and sisters, now the translation of this one ayah number 255, closer to the meaning of the ayah in English language. Allah, none has the right to be worshipped but Him, the everlasting, the one and only who sustains everything. Neither slumber nor sleep overtakes Him. To Him belongs everything that is in the heavens and earth. Who can intercede with Him except with His permission, except after He grants the permission to intercede? He knows what happens to them. Them means all of His creatures. He says that He knows what happens to all of them, all His creatures, in here, and what will happen to them in the hereafter. And they will never have anything of His knowledge except that which He bestows upon them. His absolute authority extends over the heavens and earth, and He feels no fatigue in guarding and preserving them. And He is the most high and the most great, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The tafsir of today's ayah, my respected brothers and sisters, like I said last week, we jointly studied the unique virtue of this greatest ayah of Quran. Today we will study the tafsir, the exegesis, the interpretation, and the achiklama in Turkish language of this marvelous and a unique ayah of Quran. If anyone of you or anybody you know who missed any of these lessons, we have started about 4.5 years ago from the first ayah of Quran, which is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the first ayah of Surah Al-Fatiha. We started from that in 4.5 years. Today We are on ayah number 255. In 4.5 years, my respected brothers and sisters, by the mercy and grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If anyone have missed any of these studies, you can go back to my Facebook timeline and you can find everything from the first program to today's program for the last 4.5 years, or on my YouTube channel. This ayah, my respected brothers and sisters, have 50 words. This ayah has total 50 words. It is 50 words long, and each word contains, this is a hadith, one of the most authentic hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that it has 50 ayat and each 50 words, and each words have 50 blessings in it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in another ayah, man ja'a bil hasanati falahu ashru amthaliha, that one who comes with one good deed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him minimum of 50. This ayah, every word which we are reciting of this ayah is not 10 good deeds minimum, it is 50 rewards minimum. This is another virtue of this ayah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in another ayah has said that this ayah is equal to 1/3 of Quran, just this one ayah with 50 words. Other authentic ahadith say that if someone recites Ayat Al-Kursi after every prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take his soul, his spirit when he dies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take his spirit and he will be like those, and his reward will be like those mujahideen, those who fought in the company of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the pagans and all the enemies of his lifetime. Subhanallah. Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu anhu wa karamallahu wajh said that I heard the Prophet, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying that if someone recites Ayat Al-Kursi after every prayer, only death is in between him and his entrance, his admittance to paradise. And only someone who is a true worshipper will understand it and will persist in it. If someone recites it when he goes to bed, the hadith further says that when someone recites and when he goes to bed, Allah will protect him and his neighbors and his neighbors' neighbors and the houses around him. This is the barakah of this ayah, my respected brothers and sisters. We fall asleep watching a basketball game, or something other than this which we like. And we will be answered, and we will be questioned, and we will have no answer in our qabr and in day of judgment. And my respected brothers and sisters, I remind myself first that whatever we do, in another hadith said, Al-yawma amal bidun hisab, wa ghadan hisab bidun amal. That today is the day when you can do your acts and nobody is asking you a question about it. But tomorrow means in the grave and on the day of judgment, a time will come that the time to do the actions is done, but the time and the accountability would start. So what it means that we should do our best to learn Quran in this life, my respected brothers and sisters. This life is temporary. Nobody came here and stayed here forever except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, we are all going. And if somebody doubts it, $7.50 mirror from Walmart, put it on the wall and you can see it. Going. When we are going, nobody knows. This is the extent of our knowledge about ourselves. Sayyidina Ubay ibn Ka'ab radiyallahu anhu said that Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam, it says in some of the books, some of the religious books, it is said that this is Ayat Al-Kursi is one of the common ayat of all the divine revelations Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to his messengers. All divine books which came down, this ayah was part of that. One way or the other, means that meanings of that ayah, of a similar ayah, was there in all divine books. And it said, Allah the Almighty, Sayyidina Ubay ibn Ka'ab said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam, O Musa, anyone who recites Ayat Al-Kursi after every prayer will be given the rewards of the prophets. means that he will be given the reward of the action of the prophets, not the reward of the prophecy, but the action of the prophets. The brief tafsir of this ayah, my respected brothers and sisters, in Tafsir Ibn Abbas, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas was first cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was the first one to do the exegesis, the achiklama, the tafsir of Quran al-Kareem, and he started during the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we go to his tafsir and you can find it, and that tafsir is available in Arabic, and it is called Tafsir. I'm forgetting the name of the tafsir. I have it with me. Tanvir al-Miqbas. Yes, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Tanvir al-Miqbas fi Tafsir Ibn Abbas. It is in Arabic, and you can read it, and you may find the translation. So here is the tafsir, brief tafsir which Ibn Abbas did of this ayah, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas. He said that Allah praises himself, saying that Allah, there is no deity worthy of worship but him, the one who is always alive and does not die, the eternal, the self-existence, who has no beginning and he has no end. Neither slumber, light sleep, nor deep sleep overtakes him, and he is never distracted from running and commanding all his creations. To him belongs whatever is there in heavens and the other creations therein, and whatever is in the earth and all being, and whatever is in between, around, top, under, after, everything which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Who could intercede with him in the heavens or on earth on the day of judgment, or even on the day of judgment, except by his permission and his command? He knows what is in front of all his creations and all matters of the hereafter, and who is to intercede, and what is behind them of the life of this world, while they encompass nothing of his knowledge except what he bestows upon them. The angels know nothing. This is Tafsir Ibn Abbas further says, the angel knows nothing about here or the hereafter except which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught them. His throne includes the heaven and the earth and everything. His absolute control subhanahu wa ta'ala, and absolute control and authority extend far beyond any imagination. And he is never weary of preserving and providing and protecting, and it is not burdensome for him to preserve the throne and his authority and control over all things, without any helper, any supporter, any relative, any angel or anything. He is more sublime than anything, the most dominating and the most powerful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It further says that the Ayat Al-Kursi has 10. It's one of the ayat of, it's one ayah of Quran which has 10 complete sentences, my respected brothers and sisters, 10 complete sentences in this one ayah. And that's why it is, and it explains Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name, which are unique to Allah only, and nobody else have those attributes. Ayat al-Kursi's 10 complete Arabic sentence are as such. Number 1, let's talk about it one by one till all the way to 10. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa, means Allah, none has the right to be worshipped but him. This is the ayah of absolute majesty, uniqueness, magnificence, and attributes of Almighty Allah. It was revealed at night to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and when this ayah was revealed, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam immediately called Zayd ibn Haritha, and asked him to write it down, and he recited to him, and Zayd ibn Haritha wrote it down. It mentions that Allah is the only and one. Allah is the one and only Lord of all creation, and of all. He has all the knowledge. Everything we know, and everything we don't know, and everything we forgot, and would never know, or is in and from the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does not only create, he also sustains, he provides, everything is programmed, and also also that everything is programmed, my respected brothers and sisters, everything is programmed to return to Him only, and nobody is in between Allah and His creations, and they are not answerable to anybody but to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second complete sentence of this ayah is Al-Hayy wal-Qayyum. These two words actually are a complete sentence. It means what? It means the ever-living, the one and only who sustains, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Himself testifies that He is the only ever-living and He would never die, who sustains everything. All creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of them are in need of Allah from beginning to end. From the beginning to end. And they totally rely upon Him. Whether we recognize it, we accept it, or we don't accept it. There are a lot of things which we don't know. And if we don't know, does it mean that those things do not exist? It is foolishness. That all creation stand in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from beginning to end. They totally rely upon Him, while He is and He was and is and never will be in need of anything, without any helpers, without any associates, without any partners or relatives of any kind. In chapter Ar-Rum, which is the 30th chapter of Quran, in ayah number 20, from ayah number 25 to 27, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and I will just go directly to the translation, and it says that among His signs, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, means among His signs, is that the heaven and earth exist by His command, by His will. And then He will call you. He will call you by one single call, and you will just come out of the earth. As everything that grows out of the earth, you will come out of that earth, and you will head into one direction. You won't go anywhere but towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is in earth. And everything is devoutly obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we will talk about it. If everything is devoutly obedient to Allah, why there are too many people? Those who are not even recognizing Allah, why they are not in control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will talk about that inshallah. And it is He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are continuing the translation of this ayah from chapter Ar-Rum, 30th chapter, ayah number 25 to 27. And it says, and it is He who begins the creation. And then He repeats it. What does that mean? There are children. Adam alayhi salam was a husband and wife. And after him, the other children. He repeated that those people had children. And those children have children. And those children have children. Keep counting and see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from a grain, from a seed, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaces and continues to replace and continues to create and continues to bring out. All these things continue to repeat the creation. From one grain it is started. And then you keep selling that grain, keep sowing that grain, and things keep growing. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is His knowledge. Nobody can do that. And it is easier for Him. It's not that it is difficult. To Him belong the highest attributes in the heavens and on earth. And Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all-wise and almighty. Allah gave. Now we come back to why there are so many people, those who deny Allah, or the verbally, like me, verbally say that yes, I am an obedient servant of Allah, but we are not actually in servitude of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by our action and our deeds. That is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of all His creations, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the freedom of choice to two people, two kind of creations. Number one were jinn, because they were created before human. And number two was progeny of Adam alayhi salam. We are given the freedom of choice. Freedom of choice. So we are shown good and bad. And the ayah number 256 and ayah number 257, we'll talk about it, inshallah, the ayah next week, if we live that long. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given these two creations, the jinn and the ins, the mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the progeny of Adam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the freedom of choice. But He has shown us the good and the bad, the truth and the falsehood. right from the wrong, and then said, okay, go ahead. And those two creations are the cause and the reason of all the problems from the day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the universe. This is long before creation of Adam alayhi salam. From that day to now, before jinn used to do it, then human joined the bandwagon. And that's where the accountability is, my respected brothers and sisters. Instead of joining the bandwagon which is going to hell, we should join the join the train which is going to heaven. That is our choice. But we, unfortunately, people like me, do not understand the difference. Now we come down to the attributes of Al-Hayy. What is the meaning of Al-Hayy? Hayy is the always living. There is Al-Hayy, the always living. There is nobody which always lived ever, or living today, or will live in the future. There is nobody but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Besides uncountable attributes of the Almighty, this is one of the most unique attitude of Allah. Nobody has that attitude, which nobody else has. Nobody else has that attitude, that they will always live. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anh said that the one who does not change means what? Birth, aging, come to an age of strength, then slowly retract and go back to the age, to the aging of weakness, and then that person or that animal dies, or that jinn dies. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about, that Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas explained it, and he says that the one who does not change, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rest of it, these two creation and everything else which we know of, okay, they go through the birth, means the creation, and then they go through the aging, and then they go to death, and then Allah will create them again. These two creations of Allah, none of these animals and all those things, they will not be brought back to life, and because there is no accountability. They were programmed to do certain things, and they continue to do that. But it's these two who are given freedom of choice, and our freedom of choice is going to either hang us, or we will receive the mercy and forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshaAllah. Now, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, those are the weaknesses, because the birth, the living, and the aging, slowly, gradually aging, and then dying, these are the weaknesses of all creations, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free of these weaknesses, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Qurtubi, in Tafsir Al-Qurtubi, which we are using right now, then we will go to Tafsir Ibn Jarir At-Tabari, Tafsir At-Tabari it is called, and then we will also give some quotations from Tafsir As-Suddi, rahmatullah alayh. Al-Qurtubi says, when Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam was asked to show us some of his miracles, so Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what miracles they are asking? What can I show them? So he says, show them how you can bring the dead things to life again. Show them that. So he says, how would I do it? So he was told, oh Isa, supplicate, means beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with these two words, oh you always living, oh you always self-sustaining, completely, totally independent of anything and anybody. Means what? Al-Hayy wal-Qayyum. Isa alayhi salam was told to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by these two. This is one of the attributes of this ayah. Then As-Suddi and Ibn Jarir At-Tabari said that Al-Hayy wal-Qayyum were used by Asaf. Who was Asaf? In Surah Saba in Quran, you've heard about the Queen of Sheba, the Queen Sheba, the Queen of the state of Yemen. The country of Yemen, and it's called Saba. In Surah Saba there are those ayat, and Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam, who was also a king and the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Sayyidina Dawood alayhi salam's son, he wanted to have, he invited Bilqis, the Queen of Sheba. She's titled as, she was a queen, and he invited her to come and meet Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam. And then he says that who among my people, because he has his rule, he used to rule over everything which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted him to rule over, including the jinn. So he asked that who can bring her throne in my audience hall before she arrives here. So one of the jinns, I don't want to go into further detail, one of the jinns said, I can bring it before you get up from your meeting here. So there was a learned person, his name was Asaf. He said that I can bring that thing, her throne, back here in front of you, before the wink of your eye, before you move your eyelids, I can bring it. And he used these two words, Al-Hayy wal-Qayyum, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the power because of his supplication and the benefits of these two words. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the power to bring that throne in front of Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam. These three scholars, As-Suddi, Al-Qurtubi, and Tafsir and Ibn Jarir At-Tabari, all three of them said that people, and listen to this, my respected brothers and sisters, we are so, we don't know Quran. We just use it to decorate our cars, our offices, and our houses. That's the purpose of Quran. And the rest of it, we are going to Jannah because we said La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. This is what I call fool's paradise. And so what happened that these scholars said, from the old books, very, very old books, that people at sea, those who are fearing, those who are in fear of drowning in the sea, and those who are facing any kind of threat and loss of life or property, or those who are in any condition of fear, should recite this ayah in their supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect them, and Allah will protect them. We give this Quran as a gift to our daughters when they are leaving the father's house. Or, some of the people will get married and they say, your meher, your dowry is Quran. Astaghfirullah, na'uzubillah. The Quran is there and nobody is going into detail of it, and nobody is listening to it, and nobody is trying to understand it. We are memorizing, we are reciting it, but we are not following it, we are not understanding it, we are not implementing it on anybody. Ourselves first. So they said that they should recite Ayat Al-Kursi on that. Qatada rahmatullah alayhi said that Al-Qayyum means the self-sustaining, who was not created, neither he was created nor he would die. It also means that one who also takes care of everything that he has created. Al-Hasan rahmatullah alayhi and As-Suddi rahmatullah alayhi said it means that the one who attends to everything, keeps an account, pays for the action, forgives or punishes. He knows every creation and nothing is hidden from his knowledge. That's what it means. Al-Hayy wal-Qayyum. Al-Kalabi said that Al-Qayyum is the one. Al-Qayyum is the one who has no beginning and no end. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third sentence, complete ayah in this one ayah is that La ta'khuduhu sinatun wala nawm. Ibn Zayd rahmatullah alayhi said slumber is the condition of drowsiness that affects the vision, the thoughts, makes people confused and fatigued before they fall asleep, and immediately the same condition comes upon them immediately after they wake up from the sleep, while the sleep slows the hearts and puts the body to rest. So he's explaining the difference between slumber and sleep. No shortcoming, no weakness, no unawareness or arrogance or ignorance, astaghfirullah, na'uzubillah, ever touches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is aware. He is aware because this is what he is saying. La ta'khuduhu sinatun wala nawm. Because these conditions, when they come upon people, slumber and sleepiness, then they do things which they, when they are attentive, they would not do. Or they cannot do those things which they are attentive, when they are attended they can do, in full attention they can do. They cannot do it when they have slumber or sleep. So he is aware of what every soul earns. He has perfect watch over everything. Nothing escapes his knowledge, and no matter is secret to subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Bayhaqi said that he read in Uyun al-Tafsir that Ismail ad-Darir said it means the one who does not ever get into slumber or in sleep. He is never affected by slumber and sleep. Means la ta'khuduhu sinatun. It does not overtake him. Neither slumber nor sleep. The portion indicates that no unawareness ever overtakes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is always attentive. We are the one who are not reaching to him. Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim narrated from Sayyidina Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu an that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Allah does not sleep, and it does not befit His Majesty that He would sleep. He lowers and raises the scale, the mizan, the deeds of the day. In Turkish, mizan is called tarazi, that the deeds of the day are brought in front of Him before the deeds of the night, and the deeds of the night are brought in front of Him before the deeds of the day. Means everything in the dark and everything in the light is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He has a total control over them. Al-Qurtubi said, Al-Bayhaqi reported from Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anh, the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that once Musa alayhi salam wandered, he had a question. He says, does Allah ever rest or He ever sleeps? After he read the Ayat Al-Kursi, before he read the Ayat Al-Kursi, he had a question in his mind. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an angel on Musa alayhi salam, and with two empty bottles, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent angels brought to Musa alayhi salam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angel to keep Musa busy in something for 3 days and make sure that he doesn't go to rest or he doesn't fall asleep. So keep him awake for 3 days. And at the end of the 3 days, give him these two bottles in his hand, both of one in each hand. So Musa alayhi salam took the bottle, and angel was told by Allah to tell him that make sure this bottle do not drop and do not break. So Musa, after 3 days of not sleeping, Nabi Allah, the messenger and prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Musa alayhi salam, he start having the dizziness start taking over him because he didn't sleep for 3 days. So he was about to let those bottles go, and then he woke up, and and just like in a shock, and he says, no, what am I doing? Allah told me to keep the bottles away from each other. So he keep the bottle away. Then the sleep took over him. From slumber, he fell into sleep. When he fell into sleep, his hands just came next to each other, and the bottles touched and broke. And Musa woke up from that noise. So he was told by Allah that if Allah was like this, if Allah would have gone to sleep, the heavens and earth would not be maintained as you see them being maintained. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the same Arabic proverb comes, Al-Kalam li ifhamu. The words are for those, my respected brothers and sisters, whether they are your words or Allah's words are for those who understand those words. So those who understand Allah's kalam, Allah's book, okay, they adapt. They just don't change their attire and wait for the Jannah. They have to adapt, they have to understand, they have to follow, and they have to implement the teaching of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on themselves and on their families. And that slowly, one house at a time will change the community, and community will change the city, and city will change the country, and then the change is a domino effect, and it just everything can be done right. The fourth complete ayah is lahu ma fis samawati wal ard, lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard, astaghfirullah na'udzu billah, lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard, that everything belongs to Him in the heavens and earth. Almighty Allah not only created and sustains, and all that creation that is coming is still online, and all that there is, but He also owns them. Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard, that everything is owned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the King and the Lord of all lords, including the Lord of Day of Judgment, Maliki Yawmiddin. There is nobody There is nobody, now neither today nor on the day of judgment, when everything will vanish. كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذَا الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. Even that day, there would not be any Lord but Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This portion indicates that everything is in the servitude of Allah. Is planned that way as a part of His kingdom and His absolute power and authority, that He has planned it that way. And when it is not in control and something goes wrong, it's not Allah's astaghfirullah na'uzubillah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgot to do something there. No, He has given the freedom of choice, and we drop the ball. And most of the time we are dropping the ball on our own toes. But in case of our leaders, mashallah, tabarakallah, especially the leaders of the Muslim countries, even their toes are sacred. And your toe and your head and your body and your life and your wife and your children or your whatever you have, it's not sacred. They will railroad you and to save their toes. And here it comes that the hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, "An-nasu ala dini mulukihim," because we have leaders in our, whether it's an absolute majority of religious leaders and all of the political leaders, we have chosen, or we have placed, and we have not stood up against the people, those who are destroying and creating mischief or continuing to create mischief in Allah's earth, and we have accepted their dominion, dominating us in every walk of our life, every sphere of our life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in chapter Maryam says exactly the same thing. And He says, let me just go back to the English translation of it. It is 19th surah, ayah number 93 to ayah number 95, and it says, "There is no one in the heavens and earth that comes to the most merciful but as a servant." Nobody goes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said, I'm His helper, I'm His partner, I'm His equal, or I share anything in His dominion, or I am one of His relatives. Astaghfirullah na'udhu billah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He has enumerated them and He has counted them in a perfect count, as every one of them will come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone on the day of resurrection, without any helper, without any defender, without any protector, and without anybody who can intercede. The intercession will be by the will and liking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that who He appoints as an intercessor. The next sentence, the fifth sentence, is that who can intercede? Man dhalladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'idhnih. That who can intercede with Him except with His permission. Almighty Allah in Surah Najam, Surah 53rd Surah, ayah number 26, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, and there are many angels in the heavens whose intercession will avail nothing, will help nothing or nobody, except after if Allah gives them permission for whoever He wills, and whoever He will, they will only intercede to the people or for the people whom Allah is pleased with. They don't have their own choice that Allah said, okay, now you can intercede, and they stand up and intercede everybody. No, only who Allah is pleased with, they will be able to do the intercession for them. Similarly, in another ayah, in Surah Al-Anbiya, which is 21st chapter, ayah number 28, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and He knows what is in front of them and what is coming before them in front, what they are doing now and what they will be facing in the future. And they cannot intercede except for him with whom He is pleased. With whom Allah is pleased, they can only intercede with them. And they stand in an awe, in a shock, in a surprise of His might and His majesty all the time. The concept, my respected brothers and sisters, we must understand the concept that there will be some pir or some faqir, some hoja in Arabic means a teacher, religious teacher, or any teacher, or a sheikh, or an imam, or a member of a rich or dirty and filthy rich family, a member of such and such family or such and such lineage, will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and will speak in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make any intercession for whoever they want. If somebody believes on that, that person need to enter in Islam, because he is living in shirk. He is committing shirk, thinking that somebody will save him on some pir, some faqir, some hoja, some sheikh, some imam, some sufiya, this and that will be helping them on Day of Judgment. He alone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, is the Malik ad-Din. Nobody else. Nobody else. These ayat, because you have this house and you have a door and the lock is inside. And if you don't want somebody to come to your house, cannot come. Only the person you allow will come. Only the person Allah will allow to intercede will come. You don't bring people whom you don't like. Allah is not going to allow anybody to do intercession to somebody who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not like or did not accept. This ayah shows that permission of intercession is limited to those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with, not anyone and not anybody who the intercessor himself wants. Who the intercessor himself wants can do the intercession. No such thing. We have to study Quran in detail. In an authentic hadith, my respected brothers and sisters, Allah's last and final messenger and prophet, Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I will stand on the Day of Judgment. I will stand near the throne of Allah and will fall in protection, in prostration, in sajda, in front of Him. And Allah would let me remain in that position as much as He wants. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam going into sajda in front of the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not be able to get up from sajda except if Allah wants him to get up from that sajda. As long as Allah wants, Muhammad will remain in sajda. Remain in sajda. Then he says, further says Muhammad al-Mustafa in this hadith said, I will be told, raise your head, speak and you will be heard, intercede and your intercession will be accepted. Then He will allow me a portion, my respected brothers and sisters, a portion of my nation, a portion of Ummat Muhammad. Allah will allow a portion, not all. This is in the hadith. And Allah knows better. Then He will allow a portion of my nation whom I will be interceding, and they will enter the paradise. Allah will decide to allow the messengers, prophets, their companions, scholars, and those who strive in cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is striving in cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is avoiding the sins and doing your best of your capability and capacity to refrain from deliberate disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the people, those who strive in cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and angels and whoever else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to intercede, Allah will allow them to intercede. Only then they will intercede for those Allah is pleased with, as this is Tafsir Al-Qurtubi. As we learn from various ayat and various authentic ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ibn Atiyah said, Allah may permit the scholars and the righteous people to intercede for those who have not reached the fire yet. Those who have not reached the fire yet and are in between the two, means between the Jannah and the fire, between the paradise and hell, or have arrived there at the gates of the hell, but they also have righteous deeds, and Allah accepts some of their deeds and will have an intercessor intercede for them, and they will be saved. It's all in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't run behind any faqir, any pir, any mazar, any person who is dead or alive, any sheikh, any hoja, any imam, anybody. But, bow down to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Him to be pleased with you. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, be pleased with you in this life and in qabr, my respected brother and sister. We're talking about Jannah, forgetting qabr. And we are also forgetting the Day of Judgment. There are two big hurdles. We need to understand those hurdles. How to pass through with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to understand the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As for the intercession, some people would say that the intercession of a child who died at a young age or who died before reaching the age of puberty, that is only limited for the parents, not for his whole clan. The intercession would be based on whoever Allah is pleased with. I continuously emphasizing, try to please Allah, not a pir or a faqir. Dead or alive or half dead or in coma. Don't try to please nobody. Do your duty towards everybody and give them their rights of respect and everything. But your first duty is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everything else will fall in place. And the only way we can do it is by understanding Quran. On the faith, and whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy, what will be the basis of Allah making Allah happy? The basis will be the faith alone, not your kinship, your relationship, your acquaintance, or your last name or first name or your bank account, or how much credit limit you have. There is the kafan, my respected brothers and sisters, kafan does not have pockets. There are no pockets in kafan. On the last shroud. The sixth complete ayah is يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. That he knows what happens to them, all his creatures, in here and what will happen to them in the hereafter. This portion of the ayah refers to the perfect knowledge of all creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their past and their present and their future. That's what it means. يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. That he knows their past. He knows that they were created. He knows they stayed present. They were in this life. He knows when they die. He knows when they will be taken out. He knows what will happen to them on the day of judgment. Similarly, in chapter Maryam, which is again 19th chapter, very important chapter. And there is another chapter, which is Surah Nahl. We need to understand these chapters. First of all, Surah Al-Baqarah, which we are in, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, and we will talk about it in virtues of Surah Al-Baqarah. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that do not turn your houses into a cemetery. Recite Surah Baqarah in them. Recite 2 ayat, 3 ayat, 10 ayat a day, and try to understand it. And understand those ayat. In chapter Maryam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that Jibreel, I'm just giving the English translation, ayah number 64, that Jibreel would say that we angels do not descend on earth except by the order of your Lord. To him belongs that's before us and that is behind us. Same thing. That ma bayna aydina wa ma khalfana. That is behind us and what is in between the two. And your Lord is never forgetful. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. The word them in this portion of the ayah refers to everyone and everything that is created. Or which was there, which is here, and which will be there. Tafsir al-Tabari, al-Suddi, and al-Qurtubi, and many other scholars, and Tafsir al-Alusi says that all creatures are included in the word them. Lahu ma bayna aydina wa ma khalfana wa ma bayna zalik. So that them means everyone that Allah has created. Mujahid and Al-Qurtubi said that ma bayna aydihim means what is in this world. Wama khalfahum means what is in the next world. I have seen translation which was totally jacked up. Wrong. But we have to check the authentic translations of Quran, and then or knowing the Arabic language is a great advantage. But it's still Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab were Arabs, and they were men of letters, they were men of literature, they were writers and poets, but they didn't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, didn't seek the hidayah, they didn't seek the guidance, so they were lost. And they were relatives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the seventh ayah, seventh complete ayah in this one ayah, seventh complete sentence is وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ إِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. That this portion asserts that no one attains any part of Allah's knowledge except what Allah gives them and allows them to learn. This part of the ayah, Allah challenges in Quran. When we come to Surah Rahman, which I don't think I'll be alive then, but Surah Rahman, you would see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is challenging us time and again and time and again and time and again throughout the whole Quran, challenging us to go assert knowledge, go get knowledge, go learn, and go apply and follow and understand. and implement it on yourself. And who is not doing it? People like me. We just sitting, we think, oh, we said La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. The Jannah is for us. Rest of the dunya, rest of the people will go to hell and we will be in Jannah. Just because of our attire or our ethnicity or our color of skin or something else. The portion asserts that no one this part of the ayah indicates that no one, including the messengers, no one, including the messengers and prophets, can ever independently require the status or knowledge of Allah and His attribute except what Allah conveyed to them. A prophet and messenger without Allah conveying a message to him is nobody. Allah made them prophet. Allah conveyed the knowledge. So the source of knowledge is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are running away from it. Similarly, in chapter Taha, which is the 20th chapter, ayah number 110, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allah knows what is presently in front of them and what will be after them, means what they will face in the hereafter. But they don't encompass His knowledge. They don't understand Allah's knowledge. Knowledge here means, my respected brothers and sisters, that He is the most, knowledge here means that He has the most comprehensive and complete knowledge, and people do not understand the extent, the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These and many other ayat of Quran refutes those who say that they know. You would see in many Muslim countries, and even here, people go to some imam and they say, okay, bring me a yellow color paper and I will write such and such ayah or such and such thing, or make a chart on that ayah. You put it in a jug of water and let it melt and drink 7 times for next 7 days. These ayat of Quran refutes that those who say that they know what is going to happen in the future, and they tell people that do such and such thing because this is going to happen to you. They are the clowns defrauding people in the name of religion, nothing else. They are clowns defrauding people in the name of religion. If they call themselves sheikh, they are not sheikh, they are shake and bake. Yes, if anybody, there is something that intellect which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, is that if there is a pan full of water or milk or something, you will put it on the fire, it is going to boil. It doesn't mean that you know what's going to happen to water. This is common knowledge. Or you take a pan or a glass of water or a container of water or the tray, fill it with water and put it in the freezer, it will make ice cubes. This is common knowledge. It doesn't mean that you know the knowledge of the future, that what's going to happen in the future. Only Allah knows. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. That's not the knowledge of unseen, my respected brothers and sisters, but obvious results of our action. I fill up the ice cube tray with water or with lemon juice, put it in the refrigerator. It gave me ice cube after a few hours. That is the obvious result of our action. It's not knowledge of unseen. This and many ayat of Quran clearly define that Almighty Allah is the only source of all comprehensive, complete knowledge. His knowledge is perfect, and He has, that knowledge is one of His greatest attributes. Once it comes in the religious books, my respected brothers and sisters, that once Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam was with Khidr alayhi salam, and Musa asked Khidr alayhi salam about Allah's knowledge. So Khidr, they were sitting by the ocean, close to the ocean, and Khidr pointed towards a bird which jumped, which went in the ocean, would dive in the ocean with its beak and caught a fish and came out. So Khidr alayhi salam pointed towards the bird, and he says, "O Musa, the knowledge of Allah is, the example of knowledge of Allah is that the water of the ocean which wet the beak of that bird is the knowledge of all human beings put together, and the water which is remaining in that ocean where the bird just dived. So the water which came around the beak of the bird That is the knowledge of the people. And the ocean is the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khidr told that to Allah's messenger, Musa alayhi salam. We are on the 8th attribute. We will finish inshallah 5 more minutes. His wasi'a al-Kursi-2 samawati wal ard. That his absolute authority extend over the heaven and the earth. Mustadrak al-Hakim and Waqi' in his Tafsir quoted Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas saying, the Kursi is his absolute and limitless control. Wasi'a, he has extended without bonds and limits. That he has extended his control, limitless control over everything. And no one is capable to understand Allah's throne and Allah's authority and his uniqueness. No one is able to understand thoroughly, completely. If we don't understand Quran, my respected brothers and sisters, we would not understand, still would not understand the authority of Allah. But we, by understanding Quran, my respected brothers and sisters, we can put ourselves, it humbles us. Wallahi ladhim, Quran humbles us and show us who you are. Compared to what Allah is, who you are and what else He has created. Ad-Dahhak narrated from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas again, radiyallahu an, that even if the seven heavens and the 7 earths are 7, tabaq of earth, layers of earth and layers of sky, are all flattened and laid side by side and put by side, their size would be like a ring, a finger ring, a ring in a vast desert. That is the knowledge of Allah. And the heavens and earth, 7 layers of heavens and 7 layers of earth, if they are put right next to each other, their size compared to the size of the knowledge of Allah would be a ring in the desert. Sayyidina Ali, karamallahu wajh, radiyallahu an, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Masud, radiyallahu an, and many other companions narrated many ahadith about the footstool of Almighty Allah. And inshallah we will, when we come to other ayat of Quran, we will discuss these attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again, inshallah. Sayyidina Abu Dharr al-Ghaffari radiyallahu an once asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that, Ya Rasulullah, which is the greatest ayah revealed to you in the whole Quran? So in the whole Quran, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said Ayat al-Kursi. Ayat al-Kursi. We are told when you wake up in the morning, sit down on the side of your bed. Sit on the bed. Don't stand up. Recite Ayat al-Kursi. When you finish prayer, recite Ayat al-Kursi. When you go to bed, read Ayat al-Kursi. When you come inside the house, read Ayat al-Kursi. When you're leaving the house, read Ayat al-Kursi. We are listening to music, going someplace, and we don't know that we can run into some unfortunate thing, and Ayat al-Kursi can protect us, but we are not using it. The 9th complete ayah is وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا. That's the 9th complete ayah within this ayah, complete sentence within this ayah. This portion of the ayah means it does not burden or cause Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala any fatigue to protect and sustain everything and in between, above and under and around everything which He has created. Allah has perfect watch over everything. Nothing ever escapes His knowledge, and no matter is hidden from Him. Everything is insignificant. Everything is insignificant and modest and humble before Him. He is the only one worthy of worship, and all praises belong to Him. He does what He wills, and nobody can question Him. But they will be questioned. We get some of the loss, we suffer some loss, somebody dies or this and that, and say, why it happened to me? Why Allah took my son, or why Allah took my mama, or my wife, or my husband, or this and that? We start crying. Yes, you cry. You will be affected. But don't say Allah did something to you which was not fair. You should beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you and to make things in this life easier for you. He shows signs in ourselves and in those we love, such as the birth of a child in your family, such as the aging of ourself that how are we aging, and then the death, which we don't remember. We cannot stop that, as that's how it is programmed to happen. No matter which cream you put it on, go ahead, keep putting it on, you are still aging. You will still face the death. When? Nobody knows. Some face the death when they are not even aged. They were just born, no need any kind of cream, but they will die. He is the most supreme of all things, and perfect alertness is there in him about everything. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, Al-Hassan, Sayyidina Qatada, Sayyidina Suddi, Tafsir al-Tabari, and Al-Qurtubi rahmatullah alayhi said that this ayah tells us the immensity and the variations of Allah's creation, and that He has no fatigue like His creation. All His creations get fatigued, get tired, need rest. Okay, but He doesn't. And without fatigue, without rest, without slumber or sleepiness, He takes care of everything and everybody. The last portion, last complete sentence of this Ayat Al-Kursi, my respected brothers and sisters, is the Wahuwa Al-Aliyul Azim, that He is the Most High, the Most Great Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The Arabic word, my respected brothers and sisters, Huwa, Wahuwa. Wa means and, Huwa means him or he. Okay? When he says Ali, Ali means the Most High, the Most Powerful, refers to the pinnacle, the topmost of all attributes which are there, where they can be in the future. All of those attributes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ali, Al-Ali, that He is even higher than those, the pinnacle of all attributes. Allah is the only one free of being confined by space or by measurement. You cannot measure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power. You cannot measure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominion and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's reach or His knowledge. Then the next sentence, وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. Azim means the most magnificent. The most magnificent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes His unequal might, His majesty, His nobility, His knowledge, His excellence, and His power, and all other attributes. Al-Qurtubi narrated that Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas said, Allah revealed this ayah and made the reward for His reciter both here in this life and later on in the hereafter. The immediate reward of reciting Ayat al-Kursi here in this life is that it protects the reciter from disasters and shocks and tribulations of this life. We should recite Ayat al-Kursi as much as we can. Ayat al-Kursi contains Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Ism Azam, and the first Ism Azam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Hayy, and the second one is equally the same level, Al-Hayy wal-Qayyum, because those are unique. Nobody else has those names. Whenever Sayyidina Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiyallahu an, one of the closest one of the closest companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he used to enter the house, he used to go to every corner of his house and he would stand there and he would recite Ayat al-Kursi. How long does that take? How long does that take? Nothing. In four corners of his house, and as the Ayat al-Kursi guards your house, your property, and things which you like of this life and its inhabitants, and expel the shaitan from the surrounding of the area where Ayat al-Kursi is recited, and recite and teach and understand and follow the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and inshallah the life would change. أقول قولي هذا واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. We went over 7 more minutes, my respected brothers and sisters, and I apologize for that, but the time we spend in learning Quran is better than the time which we spend in doing anything else. أقول قولي هذا واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. I request each and every one of you to share these videos from Facebook to your friends, and invite people to join us online. Anybody can spend 1 hour on a Sunday, my respected brothers and sisters, here in the Western Hemisphere and in other areas. They can watch it anytime they come home, or until this 1 hour, watch 10 minutes every day, or 10 minutes every day, and in 7 days till the next lecture you are already done from the first lecture, inshallah. We will make dua, And please remember me and mine in your du'as also. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب جهنم وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب جهنم وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والفاتحة. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم الصراط Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatuhu wa barakatuh. Thank you for joining us, and inshallah I'll see you next week.